Hi everyone, I'm Haeun and I'm a Penn student majoring in nursing, and I don't have a solid plan of where I'll be next year, but I will be studying for the NCLEX and going from there. Excuse my sick voice. I can't believe 4 years have already passed, and I consider it nothing less than a miracle that I stand here sharing my testimony today. Choosing Penn as my undergraduate college and becoming involved in church was far from my plans 4 years prior. But by God's sovereign and favoring hand, I found myself in Full Measure, a Christian a cappella group that brought me to GCC, and for the first time in my life, gave me a solid glimpse of what it could mean to live for something greater. I didn't know what that something was or what it meant. All I knew was that more and more I couldn't be satisfied without it, and my desire to have more naturally shaped all that I was. Freshman year, I fell in love with the love of God, and the feeling of that first love couldn't be sweeter. It was life-changing, being poured into by the community and the biblical teachings. Sophomore year, I wrestled with doctrine and questioned why I believed in what I did. Junior year, Jesus trained me to value discipline, endurance, and made me realize that He invites me and welcomes me into His kingdom. And this senior year, I had the privilege of being in Israel and ending my last semester serving in GCC, learning so much of what it means to surrender and be built on a foundation that is completely outside of myself. It has, without a doubt, been the best 4 years of my life, but I'm not saying I was jumping for joy the whole time. Some days and some seasons were rough, to say the least. In fact, as much as I hate to admit it, I can't count the number of times I was frustrated at God and frustrated with myself for doubting and failing to believe or act according to His promises. I would ask, how and why can't you just trust? Has all that God provided you, did it amount to nothing? And so often I think my behaviors or my thoughts, they're not aligned with the Lord at all. But it's so funny that every time I found myself faithless, He says to me, I am faithful. And when I say, Lord, do I even know you? He says, Haeun, I know you. And when I can't confess with confidence, God, I love you, He proves over and over again that He loves me and that thankfully it's not about me. And so what could I do? But just over and over again, I survey the cross and my transformed life and desire the greater depths of His glory. I know that there's nothing good in me, but somehow by God's grace, I desire to be holy. I desire to be used, and I desire to feel His every breath. I want to have everything to do with Him and His kingdom, His people, and His will. There was a lot of good things these past 4 years, but it was the best 4 years because it was a journey of discovering this Jesus, the highest pleasure and my greatest delight. I can't thank GCC leadership and this community enough for being part of that. I have no idea what my life will look like beyond it, but in the same way that this church and all its members were a blessing because of the one who held it all together, I'm more than excited for the things to come because I know it will be less and less about me and more about Him. Thank you.